Hi, everybody. This is 1,169 days since Richard was retaliated against severely, continuously, and then it escalated into a code red. And now, and then he's missing. And then they have to carry on this cover up that is starting to be. It's so unbelievable, it's so unbelievable, this cover up. And there it is. There it is for all to see. And, it involves this judge, Judge Robert Shook, absolutely. And it involves the key players. And then, of course, the chain of command all the way up. And so, matter of fact, I was going to look up CAC card. Hold on. I wanted to look that up because I think that's really important for everything going on right now. And of course, everything is politics. I hope everyone can hear me. There's so much politics involved in all of this. Okay, yes, I have it right here. Um, yeah. I wanted to read about this, so I am going to put this on here. Thank you for being patient. I should have done that before I went live. But and I'm going to quote this. Okay, there it is. Okay, great. So now I'm ready. 1,169 days. Let me make sure I'm on Facebook. Make sure everything is working. It says live. Okay, there we go. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. I can see everybody's comments now. So the CAC card is really a valuable tool, right? When you are employed, either with the military or DoD. I'm very familiar with the CAC card, which is, let me read it to you, the Common Access Card. And of course, my husband had one. Um, and that's how you get into your computer. Now it's been a while because we've been away from those kind of government jobs for a while. But in order to even start your computer, you had to have the CAC card. And so it's very valuable, and it leaves a signature. And we have a testimony that's very interesting that places Dallas Hart there in Delta Battery 143 as the platoon leader. And what the testimony says is that his computer broke down or whatever, so we had to use their computer. And, that's very interesting because if he had to use their computer, his CAC card wouldn't work in there. Okay? From my knowledge. Now, this is a clarification request. If you are in the DoD world, if you're in a government job and you use your computer and you have to use your CAC card to use that computer, can you use other people's computers with the CAC card, or do you have to use that person's CAC card for their computer? Which means you can tamper with information under someone else's name. And I think that's very, very val- uh, concerning, and a very good question in our son's case. So if you know about um, that, that will be very helpful. So the other information that we have is this Miss Laura Stevens, Provencio. I hope I'm saying her name right, Holquin. Um, so we're requesting clarification on her. It seems that these people with big jobs, working in the IG, this working in the IG, but also working at Park University, just like Ann Ogle. Ann Ogle, multiple jobs, um, working as the administrator for CYS. So for the health and welfare, the mental welfare of all children on Fort Bliss. I'm getting a little warm. Hold on. On Fort Bliss, um, including the emergency intake center, while being an administrator and a professor there at Park University, also having, um, and more power to them. It's like they're super people, though. They're super women, super men. Um, and then having private businesses with Thomas Kane on top of that. And then also working for Raven Aerostar. You know, this is, you know, these are really incredible people. Um, and I don't know, when you are in charge of the mental health and welfare of all children on Fort Bliss, including the emergency intake center, and yet your mind is also divided amongst other things, and there's 85,000 now, 85,000 unaccounted for minors, some and reports of all rape and all kinds of up to no good things going on at the emergency intake center, and of course in the child care. Amber Chase, mentioned some things about child care that were negative, and James Hart, James Hart owning Hart Child Care, right? Hart Child Care, and Leilani talking about child care there in her home in a very, that was terrible, absolutely devastating. So, you know, uh, these are uh, people in that circle with Ann Ogle. And so she definitely had a clear picture, I believe. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. But clearly, children's health and welfare and their mental state were not being looked after. Clearly. Clearly. And I don't know if that's because, um, I have another clarification. Was she Richard's academic advisor? Was she in charge of him as a CID intern? Is she the one that signed Richard's approval to be a CID intern? So many things need to be clarified, and this, is really important to to Richard's case. And then with Danae also having uh, seems like employment and affiliation in the Fort Bliss CID. Now, that would be just wow, because was she sent to put out a narrative against Richard or to cover up against the code red of Richard. Um, I don't know. This is the information that we're getting. That Thomas Kane is, he is DES, Director of Emergency Services, of Fort Bliss, while, dividing his attention with Park University and, handling security over there, which, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Um, but, uh, but then being in business, I guess that's okay too, right? It's all these are wonder people. But the problem is when he's in business with Ann Ogle and all this, dividing all your time up like this. The problem is that then he writes a letter admitting that there are breaches in the security on Fort Bliss, that Fort Bliss security is not being looked after. And in our son's case, there were breaches in the security. There were tampering with surveillance footage. There is missing surveillance footage. There is, you know, uh, very interesting. Uh, some more names are coming up about the gate guards. Okay. Who are the gate guards? Who's in charge of that? Well, those names, because we're getting the veteran support, because we have the Alliance now and Fort Bliss, because we're getting institutional support, the information is coming in. And why am I saying this every live stream? Because I want the people that are involved in Richard's case to understand what is going on, you know, to, the crimes are piling up. The crimes are piling up. And, I think it's really time to come clean on this because we have clear evidence that the JAG were operating outside of the rule of law, that there are breaches in the security of Fort Bliss, and so if Thomas Kane is the chief of security of Fort Bliss and he has all these other things going on, clearly he's not Superman. Clearly he's not. Clearly he's doing half his job or he's not doing his job well. And that's taxpayers' money paying for someone with a divided interest, with divided loyalty, and not doing his job well. If he was doing it well, if surveillance footage wasn't being tampered with um, or missing, and if he wasn't giving passes, I mean, he gave passes to young party girls during the COVID lockdown to come on to Fort Bliss and party. And I don't think that he attended the parties, maybe, I don't know, but, and made sure with the Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz that the party girls and the soldiers were 6 feet apart and wearing a mask and, minding their manners when it came to the COVID mandates. I don't think so. I don't think that's what was going on. But, maybe other people can tell me what was going on at the parties if they were there at the parties, right? Because we know that they were marketplaces for illegal drugs. We know that they were flush with weapons. We know that there is sexual harassment problem to the extreme. We know that there is a rape problem. We know there is PTSD problem from seeing all of this, right? From seeing what's going on, 14-year-old girls being prostituted while being made to live in the barracks. Um, and then we have this question: where are these unaccounted for minors? Where are these children that Ann Ogle is supposed to be looking after, that Thomas Kane is supposed to be securing, right? Where are they? You know, where is the chain of custody? Is there no chain of custody for each of these individuals, these young people? This is and then now we're getting information that Danae Katzen, Jane Doe, credit card girl, one of the 10 most wanted on the fugitive list for El Paso Police and the Sheriff's Department, um, you know, alleged horse thief and con artist and everything, is working in the CID, was working in the CID. I Right there on Fort Bliss. Now that needs clarification. And then to find out that another person that totally we're being told is heavily involved in our son's case, uh, Laura Stevens Provencio Holquin, uh, you know, also is involved at Park University and also in the Inspector General's office there on Fort Bliss. So, um, yeah, and there's more. There's more. I wonder how many hats Marlon Soto wears. How many hats does Tavita Nusa wear? What is Jay Pollen? This is another. Jay Pollen's name always um, comes back to us in the information in so many different ways, and I'm just waiting for some kind of documentation because let me tell you, his name is all over this, um, and seemingly not just as a retired first sergeant, but as a contractor there on Fort Bliss, and so heavily involved in this group with James. And look at James. He is dual hatted too. He has, the IDES, Pablo, which is the medical board for disabled veterans, right? To determine their benefits. And then also Heart Child Care. And there's more because his wife is even involved in Dreams Cabaret, the strip joint. How, and I know UPS. So, how many different jobs do they have? And is this why they have so many connections that when there's a murder, like in Richard's case, when there's a code red, and what else were they doing? Were they doing some illegal things? You know, we're getting to the bottom. I released pictures of a pearl Mercedes, and yeah, we're looking into that. And because I wanted to tell people that have been coming on uh, so faithfully all the time on this live stream that have questioned about the cars involved. There's many different vehicles involved in this, including a plane, and we are diligently, tirelessly looking into all of these, and we have gotten answers. Uh, and, I just wanted to drop those pictures to let everyone know that we are looking. And also the picture of James Hart, being the owner of the 2004 Pontiac Montana. Um, so uh, because we were made by the chain of command and CID Quantico, okay? We have been made the chief investigators. Uh, we have to you know, get the confirmations ourselves on all of these. Um, for so long, we've been having to do that. And now things are starting to drop because we're getting institutional support. Just like with the military police yesterday, we're very, very grateful. And I know um, it was rough, and it's been rough, and it's probably going to be rough with the military police on Fort Bliss because of what happened with Anthony Swafford. Okay. Um, you know, uh, we have tried to be very, very gracious in all of this, but we had to put in the criminal complaint against Anthony Swafford, a military police on Fort Bliss, because of what happened. And anybody would want to do that because he actively worked to thwart the search for Richard, to put forth a false narrative, not to check his sources, not to check what was actually happening. And we're talking about the life of a service member. And what really got me is the way he wanted to sabotage the search for Richard was to say that Richard was such a criminal that we didn't have to look for him. And that didn't make sense to me because aren't you a military police? Um, isn't that your duty to find the criminals? You know? And of course, Richard has no record at all, thank you to the FBI federal criminal database, which we got institutional help for. He was never a deserter. That goes along with the information that we were getting with the autopsies that Richard was designated died while missing. And I know there's all this like the Army doesn't even have that. I don't know. I'm just telling you, I didn't even know. I've never heard of it before either. You know, it's something used during the Korean War. I had to look it up. But I'm just being honest with you. That is the information that we were given, that they had designated him died while missing and homicide and now deceased. And so, they were going back and forth quite a bit because of the legality of everything have been made the investigators. We have been made the transparent entity in our son's case because even the media doesn't want to do their job on this. The media is not curious about a code red soldier on Fort Bliss. Okay? They're not. They're hiding too. They're part of the gravy train. They're part of this. And it's very, very clear. My mom, she was saying she was looking at, oh, who is that one lady doing the crime thing? She was watching a little clip of her and she had to turn it. She goes, I can't even stand that lady now because it's so fake. It's so fake. They really don't have good intentions because any media, any Crime Stoppers would want to get to the bottom of Richard's case. And with all the evidence that we have, being it hard evidence, being it irregularities, being circumstantial evidence, it is, uh, undeniably a code red, undeniably, and absolutely a murder case. And so, it's heart wrenching that we have to be the media, the transparency entity in all of this, as well as the chief investigators, as well as posting things and also doing the live streams, and then in the background working to make contact to the authorities to get their support, and also to abide by, their questions and everything. Um, it is just, and then to back yourself up, and then also to be part of the politics of this, because there's absolute politics in this, because it has to do with the border, and it has to do with the military, and it has to do with the CID in the military. And we're getting information that um, the CID arms room plays a big role in Richard's case, a big role. And that so where did the crime happen, where did the murder happen? We're also being told that there was an abduction. We're being told that the storage move, the tactical move storage unit plays a big role. The garage plays a big role. Van Buren House. Um, we also have another person that I will be dropping their name. They're affiliated with the CPS and Park University also, um, in all of this, and the CID, CPS, and Park University. And so we're just doing a little bit more checking to make sure that we can ask for a clarification. So we've already are uh, there's enough information out there about Danae uh, being affiliated with the CID to ask for a clarification. And there's enough information that we've collected now to ask about um, Laura Stevens, Provencio Halquin being affiliated, being employed by the Inspector General office there, and also Park University. Matter of fact, we got confirmation from an inner circle we of just that. And so, then okay, we've got to be transparent and let people know that, all of these questions for months and even years of how could this happen? How could they cover up? Well, if you have a person working at Park and IG, if you have a person working at Park and CID, if you have a person working at Park, CID, and CPS, if you have a person working DES, Chief of Security of Fort Bliss at Park University, um, and then you have someone that's working the CYS administration and Park University with CID and other company entities, big entities. um, you can really see how this, uh, they have a lot to lose. They have a lot to lose. Park has a lot to lose, to have to admit that one of their students, and of course Fort Bliss, was code redded, was murdered because of being a whistleblower. Okay, whistleblowing to the CPS, whistleblowing to the IG, whistleblowing to CID, and the lies that are covering this up. It also takes a lot of money to do it, and that's why we wrote Miss Amy Schnotty there in the governor's office in Austin, Texas, for an open records. That's why they have to give us open records. That's why Ken Paxton, the AG, was so important, um, in order to get these records of the millions of dollars spent to cover up our son's case. And once that comes out, uh, we will see Judge Robert Shook's role in all of this, with the probable cause affidavits, with the court cases, with all the warrants. And we absolutely know, because we've been in contact with Interpol And we know that Richard didn't have a record, and we know that the photograph is not that was given to Interpol is not Richard. So there is tampering and interference with Interpol from who? It only could be the CID, I believe. I need clarification on that too. And so that's why we're in communication with them. We're awaiting response. And is the power broker so big that they can pay bribes and thwart our son's case, obstruct justice, like they did with our key witness, using Leilani Hart of all people? And we did, I think that's uh, the straw that broke the camel's back in all of this, because there's so many people, including the MPs. The MPs let us know yesterday that Leilani Hart had over 20, they lost count, over 20 incidences there on Fort Bliss, and she was arrested um, on November 5th, 2017, at the church for assault with multiple people. You know, who does assault at church? It's just, it's, and that long history in Hawaii, and they're using her to block our son's justice, you know? Um, that is, I think that is, then people can understand why we have frustration, right? But we're not allowed. We're not allowed to get emotional. We have to stay calm. We have to stay focused on justice for Richard, getting the answers. And if we get emotional, sometimes we lose track of what we're trying to attempt to do. And it's been so hard, and I haven't been that great at it. The first year was just crying, 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 and Sammy can contest to that. So, and then you get into all of the vile and vulgar psyops, in the second year. And of course, my father being so sick and passing away, it's just the emotions. It's very tough, but you have to do it. It has to be done. And so I'm, to get answers, because we're, we are the chief investigators. And the leadership has to be driven to do their duty. And if they're not, then they need to be ousted like McCarthy was. And I don't know how people feel about all this McCarthy thing. But from my point of view, after 3 years of dealing with all of this, I say good. If he cares more about funding Ukraine, and instead of saving the American taxpayers from more debt, then he's working for the wrong people. He's working for the wrong people. $33 trillion in debt to go to foreign countries. They are working for foreign leaders, because we don't have 33. The one thing I do understand, as much as I can, because $33 trillion is so big, are numbers. I do understand numbers. And we absolutely should be on gold roads. We should absolutely $33 trillion in debt, and they just want to do more and more and more. Um, $33 trillion in debt is, um, they're trying to suicide us. And for that not to be a big issue, to just do continuing resolutions and omnibuses and buses and whatever, to, they have no restraint on their budgets. They don't have any care for who they work for. And this is app, forgotten who they are, who they work for, and they are just so uh, they're so used to their legalized theft. They're so used to their gravy train. And because they're so used to it, they're so proud, they're so bold, and they think that they're above us. And that's why the justice system is having so many problems, because there is a two-tiered, clearly, justice system. And, for um, Richard not to be in the media, for veterans groups. Well, the veterans groups are starting to come out now, so we're very grateful. But from the very beginning, to be afraid because of the losing their disability, um, and I wonder if Dallas Hart played a role in that, in the IDES and Pablo. I don't know. Um, Getting soldiers. I don't know. Uh, and then, there is another common denominator. There's a couple common denominators that we're working on, and one is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Even with the prosecutor that's involved in all of this, um, for legal aid, because of course you got the IG, of course you have the CID, of course you have Park University. These are not dumb people. These are educated people, and but my guess is they were up to no good. And I shouldn't say guess, my assessment with all that we have, they were up to no good. And yeah, so that is jaw dropping. It takes a while. That's why I don't mind getting on here every day and telling people, because it takes a while for people to really understand what's going on. And so I think I had one Team Farm Richard Halliday member say, "Look, why is the Republican Party, damaging themselves and whatever?" And I'm like, "No way! That was so good. That was so good because if they are going in DC, if they're going to act evil like they are, and both parties have been acting so evil, because we have $33 trillion in debt. See, you know them by their fruit. They have landed us with $33 trillion in debt. They have put on our head $33 trillion of debt. It is huge, and they want to give us more. They want to, with leaders like this, you know, who needs anarchy? They are out of control. They are absolutely out of control. And no, thank you. I don't feel sorry for them. They have landed us and our children and our grandchildren and our future, to be debt slaves. They have enslaved us to $33 trillion in debt. And anyone that has a credit card bill that they can't pay off at the end of the month, right, understands this debt slave. And it makes people mean. Okay, when you're in debt, you are grumpy, you are mean, and it hinders our society. It hinders our volunteer. The United States is the only volunteerism country. It's the only country in the world that people have a culture of volunteering. Okay, it is. It's the only country. And de Tocqueville, in his book, stated that. Uh, what was his first name? Alex de Tocqueville. And there's a chapter on it, the volunteerism of America, right? And it is so, when you're in this kind of debt, you don't have time to volunteer. When you're in this kind of debt, you don't have time to be nice. When you're in this kind of debt, you don't have time to help uh, those that are homeless, are needy, or even your own family. You don't have time. It makes people mean. And it breaks up the family, it breaks society, it breaks the community, it breaks the country. And this is what they've done to us. This is what they call it. What did Mitch McConnell say today? And let me tell you, I am not ever, I've never been a Democrat. Okay. But what Mitch McConnell said today was so disgusting because he's like, oh, well, the people want us to govern. They don't govern, they steal from us. It is legalized theft. They do their legal warfare kind of thing. They manipulate the law and they land us with $33 trillion in debt, and it's growing, and it's something we could never pay. And so the inflation has to go up, the cost of energy has to go up, the interest rates have to go up, the interest rates have to go up and up. And our money is then devalued, which is another, that's the inflation, and that is another hidden tax because our money doesn't go as far. And our wages, the percentage, doesn't coincide with that kind of inflation, with what's happening politically. And so they make us poorer and poorer and poorer. And that's why when you see old movies like the Brady Bunch, I guess it would be example, or Life with Father, or all these old movies that they have help. They're middle class and they have help. They have an Alice, and we can't get an Alice. We can't get an Alice because we're servicing the debt and our money can't go far. So this is what is going on in Richard's case. They are trying to preserve. They are like the Mitch McConnell. We need to be the military. We need to be the DOD. We need to do all this. We need to have this gravy train. And Richard was pointing out that we're criminal. Richard was pointing out that the Army and the DOD, that they were committing crimes. And these crimes must be severe because they issued a code red on him. And that's not me saying they issued a code red on him. It is Leilani Hart that said they issued a code red on him. Okay? It is 3 months of vile and vulgar messages saying, we judged him. We judged him. And it is 3 years of irregularities and circumstantial evidence and hard facts that corroborate this code red. And we know that it was because they did not want the gravy train to stop, and they did not want to lose their jobs. And so it makes them mean because they have debt. I'm telling you, I've looked these people up, and so many of them have filed for bankruptcy. So they're hundreds and thousands of dollars that they legally and illegally obtained from this gravy train is not enough for them. And just like in Washington, D.C., it's not enough for them. $33 trillion in debt on our head is not enough. They want even more. They want to, continue that gravy train. And they made such a mess out of Afghanistan. And Afghanistan, they wanted to keep forever and ever and ever, right? Because that was such a great contractual gravy train going. Oh my goodness. So it's like this perpetual war that they have set themselves up for. And when you're in the military, you absolutely know that. If you open up your eyes, you absolutely know that. And there's so much more. While our infrastructure is crumbling, while our young people and a lot of people cannot find decent housing, why we have not progressed in our vehicle and our energy, why are our cars still getting 20 to 30 gallons, some of them, what, let's say 15 to 30. uh, um, you know the, we're still using the same, we haven't progressed, and we're $33 trillion. If we had, if we were debt free, if we stayed even, then I'd say, okay, we haven't progressed, right? um, but we're debt free. But no, what did we get for our $33 trillion? We did not win wars. No, our equipment is being stolen. The books are being cooked. And I'm thinking by using CAC cards, right? They're using CAC cards and they're cooking our books. Um, the Pentagon has failed 5 audits, and you're talking about mega money, trillions of dollars unaccounted for. Unaccounted for. That's part of those 33 trillion. Where did the money go to? Wasn't that the day before 9/11? They were like, "Oops, we're missing all kinds of money." Yeah, because they fail all their audits, so they don't care. Um, and then you have a missing soldier, and what do they want to do? They want to use your taxpayer money, right, and conduct a smear campaign on a distinguished honor graduate, on a young man, distinguished honor graduate. They want to, you know smear him, and that's what Anthony Swafford did. He went along with the smear. And so, it's been rough with the MPs on Fort Bliss, but yesterday was a big day, and we're very grateful. And it goes a lot to a step. It's a step in rebuilding some trust. We have so much work to do in rebuilding our trust. And so for the MPs to be forthright about Leilani Hart and having over 20, they lost count, over 20 incidences on Fort Bliss, making Fort Bliss not only, um, all of its troubles that it has with the predator, pedophiles, the child porn, the illegal weapons, the smuggling, the trafficking of narcotics, the trafficking of children, of humans, um, all of the problems that it has. Now we have to deal with Leilani Hart and harassing our service members. And don't we have enough problems creating PTSD that all these false allegations that she causes, all of the troubles that she causes? Um, yeah, and who protects her? The the generals. Are they members of her Dreams Cafe? What is it? Dreams Cabaret? Dreams Cabaret? Is is that what's going on here? I don't understand why she has so much power, why she has lured them, how she has lured them into using her against one of their soldiers to obstruct justice. Uh, you know, and it looks really bad. And if I was Eisenhower's wife, I'd say, "What's your problem?" If I was um, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe's wife, I'd say, "What's your problem? What does she have over you? I don't know if you would do that for me. That you would." Uh, wow, this is a convicted criminal. And, how many nights did I have to be alone because you had to go and help soldiers? You had to go, and yet you will sell out your soldiers for her? Is this called Fort Bliss or Fort Hart? And I'm going to say when she said she was ruling over CID, she might have had a good point there. She might have had a good point because they seem, Marlon Soto, I remember in that meeting, he got right up. Oh, he was like, I'm going to handle this. And FBI was like, oh, yeah, let him do that. Let him do that. Even though it's illegal, but we'll let him do that. Um, here I'm saying there's leaks, and she is leaking, right? She's getting the leaks from Tavita. Was she getting leaks from Marlon? Was she getting leaks from Danae? Because, if Danae is affiliated with the CID and they're buddies, you know, uh, I'm telling you, this, you know, uh, is Jay Pollen, I know he's a contractor. Is he affiliated with the CID? Or, she's very close with Thomas Kane. So did Thomas Kane leak information from the CID? I mean, this is just that. Um, a dreams cabaret. A dreams cabaret on Americans' dime and to the harm of our service members and our national security. And our generals, Major General Clem Coward, Sean Bernabe, White, I think his name was White, also McConville, also Garrett, also Mealy, also Donna Martin. These generals, uh, you know, they're covering for her, and it is just insanity. It's just insanity. Where's my son? Where is his remains? Are they in Red Rio Range? Did they pick him up? Where is the warrant that they picked up his remains? Why can't they answer about the autopsy? Is his remains there at the training ground on Fort Bliss, closer to the airport? Is his remains in Mexico? Um, why did they have to use $1 million plane? I'm telling you, this is a very expensive plane, and it is connected. You'll it's so shocking, it'll knock your socks off. So these are very connected people, and they're on the gravy train, on a very lucrative gravy train. I mean, we're $33 trillion in debt. The money had to go somewhere. The money had to go somewhere. So, um, so they're on these very lucrative gravy trains, and, and then they give you this presentation through the media and through their books and all of that, that they're really benevolent, that they're really working for us, and they're not. And that's why when that whole McCarthy thing, I'm like, good, good. Go away. Go away, McCarthy. Go away. And who's going to replace him? I don't know. I don't know. Um, all I know is if he can't get a budget done, if he calls for so much vacation time, I mean, what it was, 6 weeks in the summer, 6 weeks of vacation that Congress got, um, just for that time period. And and I've lived in Europe, so I know August is, vacation time. But but we're in deep trouble, and they should have the first thing on his list should have been the budget. Absolutely. So that's how I feel about it, because of seeing all this crime and how it's hurting so many people. And for McConnell to say, oh, well, we govern. No, you don't. You don't. You take from the gravy train. You're at the trough, and this, so tell the truth. Uh, there's so many lies and so many false narratives and false realities. And, it's terrible that it takes something like this um, to, and I tell that to Rob all the time. I don't know if Richard, if he would have told us, if we would have believed him. It's so hard to believe that you have the chief of security of Fort Bliss in on this, and the administrator for CYS over children. Absolutely. That is shocking. That you have CID. Well, we all kind of know CID is a long history of being up to no good. And then the MPs working against Richard because of false information that could only come from the CID, and also into the Interpol, why Richard had the the fake picture, right? The tampered with photograph at the Interpol. Yeah. And just the lying and the lying. And, with this Danae thing, um, yeah, what a setup. And KTSM was in on it. They didn't, you can't tell me that they didn't do a background check, that they couldn't tell us what's going on. Everything is controlled. Everything is controlled. There's no real media. And talking to Miss Kacherga, that that was eye opening, because she was totally up to no good. And and she gets taxpayers' money because she's tax free, because they're the PBS for El Paso. I mean, it's mind blowing, but there it is. That's what's going on. So I'll take your questions now. Hi, Danielle. Thank you so much. Or does the media have a gag order? No, no, no. They, no. I think there is a gag order in this, because when I um, was talking to some of the people in the inner circle, I do believe there is a gag order, but we're waiting for those warrants, and for the results of Robert Shook's open records, which all of a sudden he disappeared. Yeah, he was out of left Fort Bliss. Can you believe it? Um, Change is definitely needed. Is she? Oh, absolutely. We're $33 trillion in debt. I mean, what is it going to take for us to say, um, our system is broken? And it's not just Richard. I can tell you so many service members. These are our sons and daughters of our republic. I've said that over and over again, and people might, you know, it gets lost, right? But these are our people, our sons and daughters. And we have Rob, definitely, for disabled veterans, for those injured in wars, for, I mean, he's a PA. He saw them. He even helped those in the war that weren't American get their legs blown off or whatever. And so our heart has always gone out to them. Um, the care packages, the donations, the volunteerism, right? Uh, that, and to have the PTSD, to have the suicides, to have, so all of that was so unnecessary. So unnecessary. And I think that's worse than the $33 trillion, because think about how many of our sons and daughters, our husbands, our brothers, our, our fathers have, and mothers and sisters, and, how many of us have been hurt because of this illegal gravy train business plan, this warmongering, because they want to keep the gravy train going. And, they're going to try to find something else, maybe with the CD. I think maybe COVID was, oh, wow, we had to end, Trump ended Afghanistan gravy train for us. So now we need to do that PPP, right? Sell the masks and sell the tests and sell the whatever, the Cobra shots or whatever. I mean, they're always trying to figure out how to legalize their theft, their lies to us, and hurt us. And they hurt Richard, and they hurt Vanessa, and they hurt. Don't forget that Austin Hawke was a whistleblower. Beautiful, beautiful young man. I've talked to his mother several times. And look at Caleb Smither. And people can make excuses and say, oh, well, that was going to happen or whatever. No, no. Um, the problem is so big that it's hard for us to wrap our head around. And for Richard, for this to happen, and for to be in this every day for hours every day, I tell you, it gives you a perspective that you can't get any other way. And it is into the belly of corruption. And it's really sickening, because they don't care who dies, who's injured, who gets half their face blown off, who gets their leg blown off, who loses their father, who loses their sister, their mother. They just don't care. And then they put us in debt on top of it. I mean, it's just so wicked. And then they tell us that they're governing us. I don't think so. And it's all a show. And I've been in those pony shows, those dog and pony shows of Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. Absolutely a criminal. He's so criminal. He's so criminal. He needs to be stripped from that uniform and those stars. He conducted those with criminal Donna Martin, with criminal, and I don't even know if they think that they're criminals. But they are. They are. They're callous. They don't care. They're not working for our country. They're not working for their soldiers. We see that very, very clearly, because every program for the health and welfare of our soldiers is a failure. And we're $33 trillion in debt. And our soldiers' health and welfare programs, every last one of them, is a failure. Name me one that is a success. You can't find it. I've talked to so many people in in those programs. They're a failure. So, and I don't know how to let people know to wake people up in a in a genuine way, in a way that I don't mean any um, warring or uh, you know, revolution or violence and all of this, to do this methodically, to take the risk of going into the unknown area of not believing our media, not believing our army, not believing our, you know, these legalized thievers. Um, yeah, because our benefits are so entwined with them being in power. And so you have to risk your livelihood, as we are. But it has to be done because we're going to lose it all anyway. We're going to lose it all anyway. Well, look what they just did to my son. And, and he's just another one, bites the dust for them because they don't care. So, matter of fact, I almost think that it's their entertainment. Playing war with us, playing thievery with us, playing, uh, doing these dog and pony shows, um, doing the canine, the canine dog thing, it just all so fake with such a waste of money is not necessary. And that's why when Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe wanted to come to South Carolina to give us another dog and pony show to hurt us, we said no, no. And so I'm very glad um, that McCarthy is out. I hope it all gets shaken up, um, legally, without violence. I do. And yeah, and they lose because they've lost their respect, and it's going to be they're losing their respect that finally I think justice will come back. So this is and that's why the veterans are coming back, and that's why the MPs are coming back, and that's why the institutions are starting to come back and say, wait a minute, uh, we need to actually do something um, that's right. And so we'll keep working. We'll keep working until because we have so much of what happened to Richard: abduction, battery, murder, dismemberment, um, dispersion or disposal. Yeah, cars, planes, uh, tarps, chemicals. Um, these are people that are in law enforcement. They know what's going on. They tell me, you'll never get your son's remains. You'll never find him. Well, that's another lie. It's another lie. So, you know, they'll say whatever. They'll say whatever they need um, to try to make you hopeless, to try to take your power away, your individuality away, your dominion away, to make you just slaves, to make you just give in to their crime, to their cult, to their thievery. And, I just reject them. I reject it. So it's all gonna, yeah, do I know how it's gonna happen? No, I reject it. And, that's where my faith comes in. I walk in faith. And tomorrow, every day, something new, like today with Laura Stevens, yesterday, like with the MPs, every day something comes out. So, thank you for listening so late. And thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your questions. Clearly, according to that report, she allowed abuse to continue in her house knowingly up until she may have needed the report for blackmail against others. Yeah, well, she wanted her husband arrested because, maybe she felt like he abandoned her, you know? Wanted other women or something, I don't know. Or are allegations true? If so, every member in that home allegedly were guilty of crimes according to the serious allegations involved in the abuse allegations. Yeah, somebody had to be arrested. And we're talking about Leilani Hart's. And there's another criminal complaint that we're looking into, but this is Leilani Hart's notarized criminal complaint that involves a rape of a minor and incest and predator and illegal weapons and death threats and um, child pornography and her questioning her own immigration status. I don't know if that matters anymore, but um, yeah. With that seriousness of allegations, it should have been investigated already, you would think, unless the CID turned a blind eye. Well, she had a lover in CID, and she has a very close relationship to the chief of security of Fort Bliss. And she is very connected in Park University because she made 3 false allegations, and one teacher lost a job. I think she made four false allegations. One, the regional director, he left. He left. Uh, and standing there is Leilani Hart. She stays standing. So other people's lives are being ruined, but she stays standing. And, in our son's case, we have obstruction of justice, we have the denial of due process, and our whistleblower key witness is being retaliated against clearly while obstructing our son's case, and she stays standing. And, so what's going on here? What are the connections? Is it that prosecutor? And who's the prosecutor connected to? You know, and millions of dollars coming to, maybe they just want to ride this gravy train of millions of dollars of covering up Richard Halliday's case. Is that another gravy train for them? I mean, I wouldn't put it past anybody in that group. And they'll call me crazy, whatever. But, that's what lawyers do. They'll drag things out because they want to make the money. With that seriousness of, yep, thank you so much. So, okay, everyone, thank you for your prayers, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. with more breaking news. Bye bye.